Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, Kano State shuts popular supermarket for refusing to collect old Naira notes. Bandits kill DPO, 4 others in Niger State. Katsina PRP governorship candidate promises to restore peace if elected in March. And on the foreign scene, Turkey orders 113 arrests linked to collapsed buildings probe as rescue operations continue. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Now, commercial drivers in the Federal Capital Territory are now rejecting old Naira notes as a result of the CBN deadline, which elapsed on Friday. Kabir Lawal in this report mirrors the ordeal of Abuja residents at the hands of commercial drivers.
Since the deadline set by the Central Bank of Nigeria for the validity of old Naira notes passed on Friday, Nigerians have been worried the Supreme Court had restrained the Apex Bank from invalidating the old notes from being legal tender, but the ruling is neither here or there since there has been no pronouncement from the CBN going back on the deadline. Some drivers in the FCT are no longer receiving the old Naira notes. They claim most filling stations in the FCT have started rejecting the old currency.
We spend our money mostly in the filling station. So some of the filling stations are refusing to collect the old money. Like for example now, this one here is collecting. So there are many other ones that when you go there with the old money, they will say they won't collect the old money.
Well, before they collect the money, but now because they give us on 10. Since now on 10, people don't want to collect it. They on 10, that very 10 said, "Mami, they tackle everybody here. Say me that they collect until we go filling station, go one filling station, they don't collect."
As if to compound this issue, the drivers further explained that they find it difficult to spend the old notes because nobody will accept it from them except the filling stations.
You don't have anywhere to spend the money. The driver is not taking the money if the driver collect money, he has to spend it. But now, most especially, just like I said before, the filling station, they will not accept the money from you, and that is the easiest place we can take the money to.
They have to know, we go there, they don't want to collect. But since that on 10, they don't even collect it again.
So how is this impacting on residents?
The people now announcing that CBN said that the money will stop being illegal tender from February 10, and which is now we are in February 12. So you see, so there is panic everywhere. People are just afraid of collecting the money, and they will say that the money has stopped being illegal tender.
Some are collecting the old money, some are not collecting it. So, and it's affecting us because the old money is not yet been eradicated. Plenty people have the old money. So the money is still in circulation. And the new money is not more in circulation like that.
No, even petrol station don't collect old money.
So why is it like that?
I don't know, that's from government. This is how they are cheating us. Even when you go to POS, it's old money that you are still giving us. Old money is still plenty more than new money.
Any country we have analysts in any country. So before this, the analysts should have find a means of what will happen before and what will happen after.
We send money to my parents, may they use the money using buy food to use where they chop. They don't get the money where to use it. They don't collect the old one.
Nigerians are anxiously waiting for the president to make a definite pronouncement on the Naira redesign policy to suit frayed nerves. Many citizens see his apparent reluctance to do so as indifference to the hardship being faced by Nigerians. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the Kano State government, through the Consumer Protection Council on Sunday, shut popular supermarket Wellcare over refusal to accept old Naira notes. According to the acting chairman of the council, Bapak Agundi, the supermarket was shut shortly after Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduji gave the order. He said the order of the closure follows the refusal of the Wellcare supermarket to accept the old Naira notes from customers, as against the instruction of the state government. He warned other marketers in Kano to be aware that the state government has not banned the use of old Naira notes. Therefore, any shop caught not receiving the old notes will be dealt with decisively. Shortly after the closure, Wellcare Alliance Limited wrote a letter of apology to the government seeking an immediate intervention to reopen the supermarket. And the Naira redesign policy has continued to negatively impact on markets in rural areas, causing traders to sell at a loss. The shortfall in Naira has kept customers away, particularly because many people who trade at these markets don't have bank accounts and therefore cannot accept transfers. Yusuf Bauru went round the weekly markets in and around Jalingo, and his report is presented from our studio.
The price of foodstuff in rural markets is on a free fall. A 100 kg bag of maize, which previously sold at the rate of 25,000 naira, is now 12,000 naira. Even at that, there is no one to buy because there is no cash to make purchases.
The changing of currency is good, but honestly it affected us. Even as I am now, since in the morning I could not sell. What I sold is only one thing since from morning. So, but the problem is that people can't withdraw. To transfer, there is no network. The ATM, there's no money. So it affected not I only, but other business people.
The situation at the Jalingo Metropolis market is equally grave. Traders are rejecting old Naira notes while new currency is not in circulation. It means there is hardly any trading going on. It gives room for unnecessary elements to operate.
As you can see, I wanted to buy rice. I want to buy rice. I cannot buy. I have been very hungry since morning. I just want to buy rice. The rice seller says I must bring cash, that it doesn't have POS. I say, let me do transfer. He said, no, he doesn't understand transfer, that I must bring cash. Where is the cash? No cash. It's a very big challenge.
To make matters worse, transacting businesses through electronic cash transfers is tedious due to fluctuating services from network providers. Traders who sell perishable goods are caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. Accessing cash at banks and automated teller machines is a no-go area as they are not dispensing cash. This man who came all the way from the village to withdraw cash is stranded.
As you can see, these 2 days, USDD is not working. There is no, even sometimes it works. If you transfer the money to a person, he couldn't at least receive the alert in time. So, apart from that still, from my village to the town here, I have to spend almost 4,000 naira from Bambur to Jalingo. And my bank is only paying 10,000 naira in a day, which is First Bank. So this thing have really affected us because there is no way a person that can withdraw 10,000 naira, you are expecting that person to come and spend almost 8,000 naira. And sometimes we slept here. You can see our mats here, just waiting to get this money.
A large percentage of Taraba citizens are not salary earners. Many earn a daily wage. It is therefore not surprising to learn that many people here believe that the disadvantages of the cash swap policy far outweigh the benefits.
That report was put together by Yusuf Bauru from Taraba. Meanwhile, Nigerians are changing their spending habits to cope with the limited Naira notes in circulation. The default mode has been to rely on electronic transactions, but the unstable services offered by banks has not helped matters. Salis Lewan reports that a sizable number of small businesses in Yola are either closed or forced to transact business through cash transfers while living under the fear of fake alerts. His report.
This is the GSM side of Jamaica Shopping Complex. Before the cashless policy of the government, business boomed and most transactions were in cash. The limited Naira notes in circulation is not only hampering the smooth running of business, but is also impacting negatively on family activities.
Most of the countries that are practicing these cashless policies goes through it gradually. No country will just come out and say, we put a date on you, like 2-3 months. Bring all the old notes and we'll give you new notes. No, the process have to go gradually. This is how most of the countries of the world practice this.
The business is not like before. Now we operate at low key. Before, this market used to be filled with customers from different places. Our family needs is almost going beyond what we earn per day, because we hardly have 5,000 naira cash in a day. These citizens are faulting the implementation of the policy, which they say has more negative consequences than benefit.
Matsalan transfer din nan sai ka samu wani zai zo sayan abun zai zo dalilin rashin kyawun network.
Issues of fake alerts are also on the rampage. You see a customer coming to your shop thinking he come to patronize you, but unfortunately, if care is not taken, his intent was to dump you with fake alert.
We
expected this government since from the beginning of this policy to have a rethink, but unfortunately they did not. People are facing more challenges. I have a belief that this policy was implemented in hands of doubt.
Another bone of contention is the services offered by banks and the network providers, which need to be improved if the cashless policy must work.
We say that the government didn't plan well for this, because it would have been gradually introduced to us, not as sudden as this. The issue we are facing now, one of the biggest issues is this network problem. Customers will come to you, patronize your product, even buy it, but to exchange your product and the money, that is where the problem is. The transfer is not going well.
Many believe that the cash crunch has affected the spending mentality of Nigerians. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
And still on the Naira redesign policy, scarcity of new Naira notes is noticeable in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, even after the expiration of the February 10th deadline given by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Most residents, including traders, customers and commuters, expressed concern that they make transactions with the old Naira notes because the new currency is not available to them. Our correspondent in Ibadan, who went around some markets to evaluate the situation, sent in this report.
According to the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, the aim of Naira redesign policy was to, amongst other things, checkmate the volume of currency in circulation and to revamp the economy. The federal government also said the new Naira note policy will help to forestall possible instances of vote buying during the 2023 general elections. However, having experienced scarcity of Naira, Nigerians have expressed bitterness over the hardship they were subjected to.
Yes, I still accept it because I read it on news that they said that the court will increase the day by telling us that we should be spending the old one, spending the time the new update will come up. So I'm still collecting it. One thing I just want them to do is they should print more notes, more new notes, so that the problem we are facing outside should reduce.
We did not accept anything. At the new notes, at the old notes, we did not see anything at all. We did not even see customer. We did not see customer at all. Since morning, I have not sell single market here. Because the old note and the new note, it affect us. Customers are saying they are not going to give us, they have old notes. And we are not collecting old notes because they say they are not going to collect it in bank.
Though the February 10th deadline to stop transactions with the old Naira note has been voided by the Supreme Court ruling, but most of these respondents said acute shortage of new notes leave them with no option but to continue to accept the old notes.
Our president is a product of law, so nobody above the law. So you are still collecting until the case ends by in the law.
We dey collect am o. If we no collect am, nobody go enter motor now. We dey collect am. Na lie jare, we dey collect am. Since morning now, na old note dey with me. Where I dey stand now? How the old note wey dey with me now? If I dey count am, now go reach 12,000.
While queues at the most ATM seem to have reduced because they are not dispersing cash, POS operators claim that shortage of cash is hitting them harder even as Nigerians continue to complain about failed electronic transactions. Nigerians appeal to the government to make available the new Naira note and allow them to continue to spend the old Naira note till it fades out of circulation.
And moving on to politics now, where candidate of the All Progressives Congress for the Adamawa Central Senatorial District, Abdul Aziz Inyaku, says the Naira redesign policy is the second wrong policy adopted by the Buhari administration. Senator Inyaku, who spoke over the weekend in Yola, stressed that the first mistake was the closing of borders, which he said brought untold hardship to the people. He, however, still endorsed APC candidates Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima on the presidential ticket and Aisha Binani as the governor of Adamawa State for the forthcoming elections. Silas Lawan reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari is taking notes for what seems to be poor judgment on the timing and implementation of the Naira redesign policy. Many citizens are irked by the refusal of the president to reverse the policy when it became glaring that the policy was bringing untold hardship on the people. Though he belongs to the APC, Senator Anyako is not mincing words to point out that this is the second of the bad policies implemented by the APC government.
The same to happen when you make a bad law, and when you also make a bad policy. Government should reverse it. There is no way out of this, but government should reverse it. Government should allow the two currencies to run until when this currency, the old currency, has been exhausted. And how will it be exhausted? It can be exhausted only anytime the money goes into the bank, it is not reissued.
The senatorial candidate also speaks on the decade-long insurgency in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, militancy in the south-south, and IPOB activities in southeast. He firmly believes managing the various forms of insecurity in different parts of the country required going beyond the military approach.
The choices we make are between bad, worst, and worst. Sometimes when you are faced with bad, worst, and worst, it is better for you to close your eyes, manage the bad until you're able to shift people to good. But overnight they said no more. Once they did that, what followed was 6 months later, around Katsina and then exit, banditry started everywhere. Banditry started. That was a very bad policy. And when this banditry started now, the next thing they started saying, armed forces. But you created the situation because of a bad policy.
Meanwhile, it would seem that the internal crisis rocking the All Progressive Congress in Adamawa State is coming to an end. This follows the endorsement of Senator Aisha Binani as the governorship candidate of the party by Senator Anyako. He is also backing the single ticket of Bola Ahmed Tinubu Kashim Shettima. The senatorial candidate believes the All Progressive Congress will win the election hands down in spite of the fact that the Adamawa is the home state of the People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. Silas Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
Meanwhile, Nigeria Governors Forum says that the CBN is pursuing a currency confiscation program, not the currency exchange policy envisaged by the CBN Act 2007. In a communique released at the end of its meeting, signed by the Sokoto State Governor and Chairman of the Forum, Aminu Tambuwal, the governors convey sympathies and support with Nigerians who are experiencing difficulties associated with the current CBN Naira redesign and cash withdrawal restrictions policy. The governors said they are determined to employ all legitimate channels to ease the situation. The communique reads, the forum believes that to deploy a cashless policy and deepen digital transactions, the best practice around the world is to create a suite of incentives to attract customers, rather than a draconian approach that we have witnessed in the last 3 months. And now to matters of security, where the Divisional Police Officer Paiko, the headquarters of Paikoro Local Government Area of Niger State, Mukhtar Sabiu, a superintendent of police, and 4 other police personnel have been killed by bandits along Kwakuti Village, Mina Suleja Road. The Niger State Police Command's Public Relations Officer, DSP Wasiu Abiodun, confirmed the incident to our correspondent. Said the DPO and 4 others lost their lives in a gun duel with the bandits, while some bandits were also killed in the process. Combined teams of police from Gahuba Bangida Division and Paiko Division, military and vigilante members were drafted to the scene to engage the hoodlums in a gun duel. Scores of the bandits were reportedly neutralized, while others escaped with bullet injuries. A commercial driver plying the Mina Abuja Road, Adamu Usman, told Daily Trust that bandits in their numbers blocked the Mina Abuja Road around 10 a.m. on Saturday for several hours, forcing many travelers to return home. A resident of the area who did not want his name to be mentioned said bandits also invaded Zazzaga community of Munya local government, causing panic in other communities of Mutunda, where the weekly market was being held. Meanwhile, Nigerian Air Force Super Tucano jets have bombarded and killed an unspecified number of high-ranking Boko Haram insurgents during their meeting in Sambisa Forest in Borno State. Reports say the air operation was well coordinated and struck the precise locations where the insurgents' meeting was ongoing on Friday, killing several top fighters and wounding others. Some high-ranking Boko Haram fighters were reportedly killed during the air raid and dozens sustained critical injuries. Troops have succeeded in clearing the two stronghold communities under Boko Haram insurgents. A former senator representing Zamfara Central Senatorial District between 1999 and 2007, Saidu Muhammad Dansado, says failure to prosecute and sanction criminals is responsible for the wave of banditry in the state and parts of the Northwest. Senator Dansado, who appeared on Trust TV program 30 Minutes, however, says that sustained military offensive against the bandits is raising hopes that normalcy will return to the troubled region.
When the situation got so bad, we now resort to prayers. We said all Jumu'at mosques, all daily five daily prayer mosques should be praying every morning from Salat Subuh up to the early morning prayers, you know, up to the time sun rises. And then after Maghrib prayer, people should remain in mosques, read the Holy Quran, do repentance, istighfar, up to the time of Isha prayer. As God will have it, within just 6 days, the leader of the bandit in the whole area called for a meeting and directed that no bandit should kidnap anybody, not to come killing anybody. So in a nutshell, they had that meeting on 16th August 2021. And since then, for good 1 year, only 7 people were killed. And only 2 motorcycles, you know, were confiscated by the bandit.
Catch the full interview on Trust TV on Monday by 7:30 p.m. A committee recently set up by Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje of Kano State to organize a national conference on livestock reforms following the issue of farmer-herder clashes in some parts of the country has announced its resolutions. Addressing newsmen yesterday in Abuja, chairman of the committee and former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Attahiru Jega, said the committee has resolved that the national conference would kick off on Monday and end on Wednesday. Jega said 500 participants comprising of government officials, traditional rulers, civil society organizations, members of the academia, development partners and others are being expected at the conference. He said resource persons and researchers with deep knowledge of livestock management and reforms would deliver their lectures during the conference and provide a roadmap for the country. Still with us on Trust TV News Hour, still ahead. How naira scarcity affects e-payment policy in Kaduna hospitals. Details of this and more after the break. Please stay with us.
Nigeria na we country, APC na the party, na one man be our choice.
At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secured are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
That's great. That's good to see.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Hour. Now let's recap our top stories. Kano State shuts popular supermarket for refusing to collect old Naira notes. And bandits kill DPO, 4 others in Niger State. And moving on to other news now. People's Redemption Party governorship candidate in Katsina State, Dr. Imran Jino, has promised an all-inclusive leadership if elected on March 11th. The PRP candidate addressed a campaign rally held at Katsina Polo Ground with teaming supporters in attendance. Abdullahi Yamadi has details.
The PRP governorship rally in Katsina attracts supporters from the 34 local government areas of the state who came to listen to their candidate on his mission and vision for the people of the state. He gave convincing reasons how his administration as a governor will restore peace, rejuvenate agriculture, economy, and reduce the alarming rate of out-of-school children roaming the streets of Katsina.
The key message of my campaign inauguration is signaling the end of tyranny, maladministration, and lack of direction for Katsina State. We hope to have to build a foundation, a new foundation of Katsina State, a Katsina State that is going to be inclusive, a secured and prosperous state, a state that cares for its subjects, a state that is fair to all, both new guests and the old citizens of Katsina State. We will ensure fairness. We will ensure enforcement of laws and order.
Other party stalwarts and leaders such as Dr. Usman Bugaji, PRP state chairman, are unanimous in calling on voters to see reasons why they should vote all candidates under the PRP to move the state to a new level. They also say PRP will act differently in running the affairs of Katsina State if its candidates are voted into power in the next general elections in the country. They blamed politicians of derailing the state from its track of development and promised to work closely with all relevant stakeholders in restoring its lost glory. Many residents believed in the quality, credibility, and capacity of candidates standing for the People's Redemption Party, which political watchers said surpasses candidates of other parties running in the state. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Meanwhile, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has asked the International Criminal Court to conclude arrangements to commence an investigation into growing cases of pre-election violence in Nigeria. In a statement on Sunday, SERAP's Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadari, warned that if cases of pre-election violence were not addressed, the situation could degenerate into post-election violence in the country. The petition followed reports of election-related violence in several states, including Lagos, Rivers, and Kaduna states. Over 4,000 cases of violent attacks and 11,000 fatalities were reported across the country between the 1st of January 2022 and the 3rd of February 2023 alone. According to SERAP, seeking investigation in relation to election-related violence that may be committed after the general elections is consistent with Article 53, subsection 1A of the Rome Statute, which allows investigation into a crime which has been or is being committed. And in our series on presidential candidates, Yusuf Akugu profiles Omoyele Sowore, who clinched the ticket of the African Action Congress as its presidential flag bearer. Take a look.
Born on February 16, 1971 in Kiribo, a suburb town in Esodo local government area of Ondo State, Nigeria, Omoyele Sowore is a human rights activist, writer, lecturer, and founder of the popular online news agency Sahara Reporters. Born into a polygamous family, Sowore developed his passion for the media in the days of military rule in Nigeria. He had a secondary education at two institutions, Community High School, Kiribo, and Ofedepe High School, Okitipupa. He thereafter proceeded to the University of Lagos, where he graduated with a degree in Geography and Planning in 1995, where he also suffered 2 extra years after being expelled twice for political and student activism offenses. In 2003, he received a master's degree in public administration from Columbia University in the city of New York, United States of America. Sowore has played a crucial role in Nigeria's political and democratic process for over 30 years. He came to the national prominence when he led a nationwide protest against the menace of secret courts on campuses around the country in 1992. In addition to his duty as an entrepreneur, founder, and chief executive officer of Sahara Reporters, Sowore is a lecturer and highly knowledgeable public speaker who never misses the opportunity to advocate for Nigerians and Africans on platforms around the world. He teaches modern African history at the City University of New York and post-colonial African history at the School of Arts in New York, both United States of America. Sowore is currently the presidential candidate of the African Action Alliance, AAC, in the 2003 general elections. Yusuf Akogu, Trust Television News, Abuja.
The Bank of Industry and the French Development Agency have signed a grant agreement for 2.5 million euros delegated by the Green Climate Fund, which will further their partnership to fight climate change in Nigeria. A statement by the French Embassy in Nigeria says the agreement was signed at a meeting at the French Embassy under the primary patronage of the Ambassador of France to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Emmanuel Blattman. This was approved under AFD's Transforming Financial Systems for Climate program with the Green Climate Fund, a $650 million United program developed in 17 countries for 100% climate investment projects. Now to matters of education, where the Registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, has disclosed that over 1.16 million tertiary institutions admission seekers have so far registered to sit for the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME. Professor Oloyede stated this on Saturday during a monitoring tour of some CBT centers in Abuja. He said the board would not extend the deadline for the 2023 UTME registration, while warning centers against extortion of candidates. He urged candidates to report cases of extortion, saying that there is a code for candidates to reach the board when they come across any case of extortion, while promising there will be a reward for such an act. The sale of the 2023 UTME commenced on January 14th and is set to close on the 14th of February. Meanwhile, the federal government has expressed its commitment to upgrade all National Youth Service Corps orientation camps across the country to accommodate the rising population of graduates enrolling for the scheme. Minister of Youth and Sports Sunday Dare said this on Saturday during the commissioning of the NYSC Permanent Orientation Camp built by the Bayelsa State Government at Boro Town in Kiyama, Kolokuma or Kokuma local government area. He appealed to the state government to take proactive steps in providing facilities in the camps to accommodate at least 5,000 corps members. Represented by the Director General of the NYSC, Brigadier General Yusho Ahmed, the minister commended the Bayelsa state government for providing a conducive edifice for the training of corps members 26 years after the creation of the state. He said the facility will not only enhance smooth conduct of the orientation courses, but also serve as a morale booster to corps members and officials of the camp. And despite directives by the Kaduna State government on public hospitals are yet to start accepting only electronic transfers for payment of hospital bills. Most patients at public hospitals in Kaduna are still paying in cash because most patients do not have bank accounts, while those that have are hampered by poor network issues. Bello Musa reports.
The no cash payment was introduced by the Kaduna State government to ease the difficulties faced by the patient in paying their hospital bills due to the present cashless policy. Ironically, while most patients are facing difficulties in accessing the cash to settle their hospital bills, they are not even aware of this new policy. I don't know of the policy because not enough sensitization was given, especially on media or street billboards, for people to know of the policy. Besides, people visit hospitals from rural communities and they don't have bank accounts. There are supposed to be more awareness on how to pay hospital bills to ease our difficulties amidst this cashless policy.
If these are measures, I would say it's the right time. So we, the citizens, we could adapt.
But the fault may not be that of the hospitals, as sources have revealed that barely 10 out of 100 people who visit public hospitals have bank accounts, whether they are patients or their relatives. This is why public hospitals are still accepting cash payment. Sadly, patients have to go the extra miles to source for cash to settle their bills before seeking treatment at public hospitals. It is difficult to pay hospital bills. I went to the ATM to get money to come to the hospital, but I met 254 people on the queue. In addition, POS operators' charge are prohibitive for withdrawal.
Due to the network issues, sometimes network issue is a challenge due to the process of maybe if I want to transfer now, the network it's either the money might bounce back or something might happen and you will end up waiting and wasting a lot of time.
The consequences of little or no access to cash are amplified in hospitals, and it is not just limited to settling hospital bills. Patients on admission are also suffering on hospital beds as the scarcity of both the redesign and all Naira note is impacting negatively on them. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
And on a sad note, a mother of 9 children, simply identified as Maimuna, has reportedly committed suicide in Sajiri, Gumari ward of Jeri local government area of Borno State. The incident happened around 6 p.m. on Saturday. One of the witnesses, Ba Modu, said the deceased children rushed out to inform them that their mother hanged herself. He said there was no suicide note left by the deceased, and the children said they had no prior knowledge of her intention. However, another witness who is close to the family told Daily Trust that she started acting strangely after her family moved into a house she did not like. Efforts to reach the police for comment weren't possible as the public relations officer, Muhammad Shatambaya, neither picked calls nor responded to text messages. The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 5, comprising Edo, Delta and Bayelsa States, AIG Lawan Tanko Jimeta, is dead. He died on Sunday morning at the Benin Teaching Hospital, Edo State, after a brief illness. This was disclosed by the Police Public Relations Officer, Bauchi State Command, SP Ahmed Wakil, in a terse WhatsApp message on Sunday. According to reports, AIG Jimeta is a graduate of English language from the University of Maiduguri and also a master's holder in Peace and Conflict Studies from the National Open University. He took over his appointment as AIG Zone 5 on January 13, 2022. He served in various capacities in the Nigeria Police Force, including as Edo State Commissioner of Police, Bauchi State Commissioner for Police, Personal Assistant to the AIG of Police, Department of Training and Development, Force Headquarters Annex, Lagos State, and Chief of Training, Directorate of Peacekeeping, Force Headquarters, Abuja. He also served as the Area Commander, Suleja Area Command. You're still watching Trust TV News Hour. The news continues after this break. Stay with us.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Hour. Now let's take a look at the foreign scene, where Turkey has arrested 113 suspects and is thoroughly investigating them for their culpability in the collapse of buildings in the country's catastrophic earthquakes. Turkey's Vice President Fuat Oktay said late on Saturday that the 113 suspects, if indicted, would be held responsible for some of the thousands of buildings flattened by Monday's earthquakes in the 10 provinces affected. In the same vein, Turkey's Justice Minister has promised to punish anyone responsible, while prosecutors have begun gathering samples of buildings for evidence on materials used in construction. While the quakes were powerful, victims, experts and people across Turkey are blaming poor construction for the extent of the damage. Environment Minister Murat Kurum said based on the assessment of more than 170,000 buildings, 24,921 structures across the region had collapsed or were heavily damaged. Rescuers are still looking for survivors in the rubble 6 days after the disaster, which hit parts of Syria and Turkey. Meanwhile, the death toll stands at more than 29,000 in Turkey and northwestern Syria as rescue efforts continue. The number of deaths in Turkey rose to 24,617 on Sunday, while more than 4,500 were killed in Syria. The United Nations say up to 5.3 million people in Syria may be homeless after the earthquakes, while nearly 900,000 people are in urgent need of hot food in Turkey and Syria. The Syrian government has approved the delivery of humanitarian aid to quake-hit areas outside its control, according to state media. Meanwhile, Turkey says it is working to open 2 new routes into rebel-held parts of Syria. And people affected by the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria will now be allowed to stay temporarily with relatives in Germany. The decision comes as the death toll from the earthquakes surpassed 29,000 on Sunday. About 2.9 million people of Turkish origin live in Germany, with more than half holding Turkish nationality. The Syrian community is also large and is estimated at 924,000 since former German Chancellor Angela Merkel opened the borders to refugees in 2015 and 2016. The accelerated and priority visas are intended to benefit people who have been particularly affected individually by the disaster, who may be in danger of becoming homeless, for example, or have suffered injuries that require treatment. It further added that the scheme is designed for victims who wish to seek refuge in Germany and stay with first or second degree family members who are either German citizens or who have permanent residence permit. We'll take a short break now, and the news continues after this. Do stay with us.
That's great. It's good to see you.
Welcome back to Trans TV's News Hour. Now let's take a look at sports, where Nigeria's under-20 boys, the Flying Eagles, have now settled down in Morocco's commercial and economic capital, Casablanca, for a one-week final training camp ahead of the Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations starting next week Saturday in the Arab Republic of Egypt. Head coach Issa Ladam Bosso and wards are staying at the Novotel Hotel in Mohammedia, just outside Casablanca. And the head strategist is upbeat about the readiness of his boys to sustain their winning mentality when the tournament kicks off in 9 days. Nigeria's first match of the campaign, as they attempt an 8th continental title, will be against Senegal's Cub Lions at the Cairo International Stadium, starting from 9 p.m. Egyptian time on February 19th. The Flying Eagles, two-time FIFA World Cup runners-up and one-time bronze medalists, will then face host Egypt on February 22nd and Mozambique on the 25th of February. All 4 semi-finalists in the 12-team championship in Egypt will qualify to fly Africa's flag at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup Finals to be staged in Indonesia from May 20th to June 11th, 2023. And the Nigeria Basketball Federation has invited 21 players to the Tigers camp ahead of the FIBA World Cup qualifiers billed for Luanda, Angola. The list includes 19 home-based players and 2 foreign-based professionals who are free agents in the United States. They're expected to report to camp in Abuja for preparations and other formalities for the World Cup qualifiers, which hold from February 24th to 26th. Rivers Hoopers players top the list of invited players, and they are Johnson Anaye, Michael Daramola, Adebayo Oduleye, Vincent Nyawu, Chibuzo Njoku, and Victor Koko. The camp is scheduled to hold from the 12th of February to February 21st at the Indoor Sports Hall of the MKO Abiola Stadium, Abuja. With 5 slots up for grabs from the African qualifiers to the 2023 FIBA World Cup, Nigeria will play against Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, and Angola. The Nigeria Scrabble Federation, NSF, said it has concluded arrangements to host the first National Scrabble Festival in Abuja from March 20th to 22nd. According to NSF, apart from the Scrabble Festival, 2 other events will also hold in March. And these are the yearly general meeting and the grand finale of the 2022 NSF Inter-Club Championship. On the National Scrabble Festival, the NSF said all participants are expected to arrive in Abuja on March 19th, adding that the AGM will hold on March 23rd, while the Inter-Club Championship will hold on March 24th, with the gala night fixed for March 26th. The Federation said the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory will each be represented by 6 players in the festival, which is a 28-round robin competition with winners getting cash rewards. And that wraps up Trust TV News Hour for tonight. Don't forget, for more news, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. But quickly, before we go, on a lighter note, that is, graduates Anisu Mapisa and Emmanuel Marume saw that farming was taken off and they didn't want to pursue regular employment. Now, they bootstrapped a drone business and are now providing both commercial and smallholder farmers with services that save them money. Let's take a look.
Want to become a hub of all agricultural solutions, starting from the production side, the field, the distribution of food until we reach the market. So we want to cut across all the value chain of agriculture by bringing in technology.
We've been in it for about 3 years now. What we've noticed is that we've managed to assist farmers to apply chemicals in a more efficient manner and a safer manner as well. I believe this is where the world is going. Technology is there to assist us, in our farming operations.
I've heard about Takudzwa drone by one of the farmers on our group. I contacted Takudzwa probably 2 months ago, just when we started planting. If this works out halfway, not even completely, I will be calling them all the time for my spring.
Just give it a chance, even on a trial basis, see how it affects your farming operations, your yields, and your costs as well. That's what I would just want to encourage farmers really to start looking at implementing this technology in their operations.
Thanks for staying with us. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Have a good evening.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.